Hello, climate champions. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Climate Network with me, Deepsha Dhal. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce a guest whose life and work revolve around a simple yet powerful idea: harnessing the power of the sun to solve some of world's biggest problems. Our guest, Professor Chetan Solanki, is often called the solar man of India. He's a man on a mission to bring about an energy swaraj, a revolution in energy self reliance through solar power. Inspired by the Gandhian philosophy of Swaraj or self sufficiency, Professor Solanki has dedicated his life to empowering communities to generate and manage their own energy. Not only is he a professor at IIT Bombay, but he is also on an extraordinary 11-year Energy Swaraj Yatra, living in a solar powered van and spreading awareness about solar energy, sustainability, and climate change. Through his journey, he is educating people across the country, making solar energy more accessible to all. As Albert Einstein once said, we shall require a substantially new manner of thinking if mankind is to survive. Today, we'll explore how Professor Solanki's work is helping drive that new way of thinking and acting when it comes to our energy needs. Welcome, Professor Solanki.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, what inspired you to initially focus on solar energy and sustainability as your mission?
Well, I did my master's in microelectronics and I was working in a big company, multinational company called Texas Instruments. And I come from a very small village from Madhya Pradesh. And while I was doing this, one thought came to me that I know I got educated, I came out of my village, and my village stayed wherever it is. And this job in microelectronics, designing chips, is not going to be of use to them immediately. And I wanted to do something that can help my village. So I was discussing with my professor, and he said, "Why don't you do research in solar energy?" And that's how I left one of the highest paying job at that time and figure out how to do a PhD in solar energy. And I was lucky enough to get a PhD scholarship from Europe. I went to Europe and did my PhD in solar. Of course, the idea was to serve India in villages. So I was very worried that I should not stuck in Europe. No, no, normally, it was in 1999 when people used to go. They will remain either in US and Europe. So I was really worried because I wanted to come back. So I figured out the way to come back. I decided to fix a date when I want to come back, and I started counting it down. And it was like for 5 years in advance. So I was counting. 1100 days are remaining, 1099 days are remaining, 98. So every day I used to write. And it happened so that when I completed my PhD and took my flight to get back to India, it was 20th May and I landed on 21st May in 2004. That is the date that I decided almost 5 years in advance. And that's why I keep saying, life tends to support our preferences. Whatever we prefer, it happens. And I have experienced it many times. So this is how I got into solar and this is how I got back to India.
Sir, can you explain the concept of Energy Swaraj? What is the story behind this decision to go on an Energy Swaraj Yatra?
Mhm.
The motivation behind the idea, the thought.
Well, so after I joined IIT Bombay, I started working in the field of solar and writing books, doing research, etc. I did many projects in solar. And in 2019, I traveled across the world as part of, 2019 was 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. And we designed a project where we train students to make their own solar lamp so that they can study in a solar lamp, not in the coal based electricity, which is going to emit carbon and cause violence to environment. So 150th Gandhi Jayanti was a very special occasion, and I thought we should teach this non-violence practice of generating electricity and consuming it. Now, this non-violence is a global, kind of a philosophy, not limited to India. So I thought why only Indian kids? Why shouldn't the kids of every country should do it? So I traveled across almost 30 countries promoting this idea. And on Gandhi Jayanti, we had 9.25 lakh students learning to make their own solar lamp in one single day across 54 countries and 3,500 organizations. But when all this happened, one thing that really bothered me, that when I traveled across the world, I saw everywhere there is only one direction of growth, that is economic growth, at the cost of everything else. Water can be polluted, air can be polluted, depression can increase, doesn't matter. Only one thing should not stop, that is economic growth. And by that time, I was very aware about this climate change, because 2015, the Paris Agreement came. In 2018, this global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade report came. So uh, I was really worried that the world is going in some wrong direction. And if I want to do something, I should do something. And if I'm capable of doing something, I should definitely do something. And what I figured out, that the whole world is a game of energy, but this game of energy is going very wrong, because around that time, almost 80 to 85% energy is still coming from coal, oil, and gas, which is even today it is like that. So going from this coal carbon based energy, coal, oil, and gas, I call it as a wrong energy, because it all results in carbon emission, that is resulting global warming and all kind of degradation. So going away from wrong energy to right energy, but in the right manner, not in the manner. And right energy is actually clean energy, renewable energy. In the right manner, you can't just use solar energy left and right. That is also a problem. And at the right time. So this whole philosophy of going away from the wrong energy to the right energy in the right way and at the right time is Energy Swaraj. And because we all consume energy, we are all dependent on energy. The world has become very fragile, because if something happens somewhere, you and I get affected. When two buildings in America fallen down, and everybody in the world got affected. When Russia went for war, your vegetable prices could go up. Russia wouldn't have given the cheap oil to us. So what I'm saying, world has become very fragile, and the one reason for this fragility is again energy. But the carbon-based energy, which only few countries hold, not everybody. All other countries are dependent. We all import dependent. Even India itself is a very energy poor country. We spend almost 16 to 17 lakh crore rupees every single year to import energy. So energy independence is a really powerful tool, not for a country perspective, not because we are dependent, but also it will save us foreign exchange. It will reduce our dependency on other countries. If we all become energy independent, the country will become independent. If you all become energy independent, our carbon emission will go down. If you all become energy independent, our local economy, we are going to create more jobs, and money will circulate in local economy. So local economy is going to be stronger. Global warming will be solved. Climate change will be solved. So I believe Energy Swaraj is just not about energy. It is the solution to every problem that humankind is facing today, including depression, stress, violence.
What about the yatra that you're on? You live in a solar powered van.
Yeah.
You go around the country. Can you tell us more about that?
So when I thought, how do we bring this change? How do we solve the problem of the world? Can I do it as a professor of IIT Bombay? Can we make some policies? Can we create some technologies? And I thought, no, none of this is working. When I traveled across the world, I felt that, policies have been made. We have been making policies in Paris Agreement and Kyoto Protocol and COP meetings and whatnot. Technology is also growing leaps and bounds, and we are going to the moon and Mars, and solar is advanced, renewable is advanced technology, and economy is also growing. But despite these three tools that humans are using, the policy making, technology development, economic growth, all these tools are actually becoming better, but the problem is becoming worse. So I felt that we can't use this tool. And you refer to the Einstein, and one of the famous quote of Einstein in other way, if I can do it, quote, he said, the very same consciousness that has created the problem cannot be used to solve the same problem. This problem of global warming and climate change and environmental degradation cannot be solved by more of technology, more of science, more of economy. No, that itself has created a problem. And one day I was thinking, and what Gandhiji would have done in this scenario, how he would have solved. Had he been living today, what he would have done. So that is where this idea of yatra came, or fasting. Gandhi would do some fasting and some yatra. I keep saying I can't do fasting, and it's beyond me. So I chose to do yatra, and yatra is always, very effective tool to reach out to the masses. I believe that this problem of global warming and climate change is now beyond any government. It doesn't matter how powerful the governments are, how majority they are. It doesn't matter anymore today. Problem has gone beyond, and every individual is part of the problem, because we all consume energy, we all consume materials, and therefore every individual has to be part of the solution. And when every individual becomes part of the solution, it will become a movement. And the whole purpose of this yatra is to create a Energy Swaraj as a public movement, when everybody moves towards energy independence. And by doing that, we solve the many problems of the world. So when I started thinking about yatra, and then I thought, how long it should be. First question. And I thought 1 to 3 years is not going to be enough, because it's a huge problem. It's a global problem. So I thought I should invest at least a decade of my time. And when I started thinking in 2020, and by 2030 is also sustainable development goals, it became 11 years. So 11 is also good number in the country. So then I decided to do it for 11 years. Then also a little later, about I think 2 months later, another idea came that if I do this yatra in bits and pieces, that if I break and go home Saturday, Sunday, and enjoy Holi, Diwali, marriage, birthday, and there are a number of things, I thought that it's not going to work. And if you really want to solve the global problem, you need to every day, morning, evening, Saturday, Sunday, Holi, Diwali, think only of one thing. And that is how I decided that I will not go home for 11 years. And if you are not going to go home for 11 years, how do I live? So I made a bus where I sleep. There's a bed inside, kitchen inside, washroom, library, office, temple, garden. Everything is inside the bus. That is how I have been living. And it is almost 4 years that I'm doing it.
And you have not been home for 4 years.
I've not been home for 4 years.
What all states have you covered?
I travel almost across the country, except the northeast states, and almost every state I've gone.
Any learnings from rural India that you would like to share?
Well, I mean, I normally don't go to rural India. I keep saying people ask me, somehow people assume that I'm going to rural India, because they think yatra means solar in some villages. No, I don't. I keep saying people jokingly, I go to only those places where spoiled people are there. And all spoiled people are actually living in cities. So my focus is to travel to cities and towns, because where energy consumption is high, if you can bring this sense to them and reduce their energy consumption, I think that will make a big difference.
I think what you're talking about is also behavioral change along with these technological advancements, yes? And you have emphasized on education as a part of this behavioral change for a long time. What is energy literacy drive that you have started, and can you tell us a little more about that?
So there is a lot of illiteracy about energy, but we all use energy.
Yes.
Every user is a person is an energy user, the rich and poor, the American and African, the young and old, the rural and urban. Most people, when I ask, do you use energy? They say yes. And when I say, okay, list down where are you using energy? They will say light and fan and, a vehicle and cooking, and that's it. They don't realize that the shirt that we wear is also energy. The toothpaste and toothbrush is also energy. The furniture is also energy. The cement, concrete that goes in our buildings also energy. So every material is also use of energy. Because eventually, to brush my teeth, I need to buy toothpaste, toothbrush, water. For that, I need motor and overhead tanks and pipes, and I need wash basin and mirror and so many items. So I keep saying, how dangerous it is to brush your teeth. Because just to small activity of 3 to 5 minutes, we need so much of material. And for every material, a lot of energy has gone into it. So there is a lot of illiteracy about energy, and educated ones, very professionals, policymakers, and they don't understand this game of energy. And I keep saying, Niti Aayog doesn't understand the game of energy, and therefore they don't make the right policies. And That's why things are becoming worse. Despite doing all these things are becoming worse. So, so when I started my yatra, like I was also like any other time. My idea was to bring solar energy and all. And after 6 months, I realized, hello, hold on. Before I talk about solar energy, let me talk about energy itself, because people don't understand energy. And that's why बोलते ना the अकल तो रोड पे ही आती है ना, जब रोड पे चलना चालू किया, then I really, as a professor, I never realized that energy literacy should be the first thing that we should teach everyone. So while in Yatra, I developed this course called Energy Literacy Training. I feel it is a license to use energy. Anybody and everybody who is using energy, not only in India, all over the world, must be energy literate. And if you're not energy literate, you should not be allowed to use energy. As simple as this. I also call that as a first step towards climate correction. If you're not energy literate, what you're going to do to solve the problem of climate change? You're going to plant trees. You're going to collect the garbage. You're going to talk about the decomposting, which are all good. We should all do that. But that's inconsequential when you talk about the current problem of global warming and climate change.
Have you seen some success stories on your yatra?
Oh, many. I mean, I keep saying, that now it's almost 4 years that I'm accumulating, and the fact that I'm not tired, only because there are a lot of good things are also happening. And when I talk to people about this energy and how do we solve the problem, and a lot of people come to me about after energy literacy and how their life has changed after that. For example, somebody said that, sir, after energy literacy training, if when I brush my teeth and if little extra toothpaste that comes in, I feel guilty. Somebody said, after energy literacy, when my hand go towards the remote of AC, it starts shivering. So there are beautiful stories that are coming out how people's life is changing. So energy literacy is a very powerful tool. It is a game changer, and I believe you will not be able to solve the problem, or the government or the world will not be able to solve the problem until unless everybody is energy literate. So my target is to bring energy literacy to not millions but billions of people across the world.
You mentioned existing policies.
Hmm.
My favorite topic. Let us talk about the existing policies that are there.
Mhm.
You also mentioned that there are very less policies around energy
Mhm.
per se. Now, in your opinion, how effective are these government initiatives that exist, like RTS or PM Kusum or 100% solarization of villages in Gujarat? What are some of the successful initiatives that have happened, and what is the reality? If give us a reality check.
I feel they are 2.5% successful only.
Wow.
You know why? Because what these policies are doing, of course, it is encouraging people to use solar energy, and we should definitely use solar energy, but not in this manner. Let me share a short story so that it becomes clear. So when I was first time in Yatra, went to Gujarat, and I was very happy to see a lot of solar in Gujarat. Every third, fourth roof you'll have solar panels, and I was happy that wow, there is a state which is promoting solar like anything, which is what I wish to do that. But after 15, 20 days, and I became sad, because after my lecture, somebody came to me and said, "Sir, thank you very much, for opening my eyes." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Sir, my sister called me and said, sir, bhaiya, I have put 6 kilowatt of solar system at my rooftop." And she was saying, "पहले एक कमरे में AC था, अभी तीनों कमरों में AC लगा लिया है." Can you believe it? What I'm saying is, people don't realize, the government don't realize that using solar energy to save money and using solar energy to save environment are two different things. Most people and most countries and most policies are promoting solar to save money. As a result, you don't care. Anybody who's putting solar, their electricity bills are going down. As a result of that, their electricity consumption is increasing. You see, you're defeating the purpose. So saving money means you have to maximize your generation, and saving environment means you have to minimize your consumption. I don't think any government policies, any initiative, any kusum talks about minimizing consumption. What most people not taking into account in their policies is that science can grow, technology can grow, economy can grow. The size of the planet cannot grow. We can't come together and stretch and make our planet bigger. The amount of water cannot grow, the minerals cannot grow, soil cannot grow. When you don't respect this fundamental boundary condition that the planet is finite and all resources finite, I don't think any policy is going to work. You can go to moon and you can develop 5G network and 10G network. You can make super efficient solar cell. Doesn't matter. Ultimately, if you're not limiting your consumption, nothing can help us to survive on this planet.
I don't think there are any bilateral treaties also that all explain consumption.
No, nobody talks about
Yeah,
it. Huh?
because they all talk about how we can have public-private partnerships, how we can have
More
bilateral
technology. How
treaties.
can you have green hydrogen? How can you have electric vehicle? How can you solar? I said, hello, only plants can be green. There's nothing called green energy, green economy, green technology, green hydrogen. There's nothing absolutely green. Only plants can be green. Because there is this second law of thermodynamics. Those who have studied engineering would know. It says that the entropy always increases, and for the layman, what it means is disorder increases in the world. Every action you do, disorder increases. So even when you use solar panel, for example, I did PhD in solar. I wrote books on solar. When you use solar panel, what happens? Most of the solar panels are made in silicon, so you have to mine silicon. Now silicon has a melting temperature of 1480 degrees centigrade. You have to melt silicon 3 times, something like 1800 degrees centigrade, to make pure silicon crystal in silicon wafer. Then you have to make solar cell. You have to use many gases and a lot of energy. Then you have to make solar panel. For making solar panel, you need glass on top of it to protect it. And then you need aluminum frame on top of it. So you have to make aluminum. And to erect the solar module, you need iron structure. So you have to make iron. And then take the power out, you need copper cables. So you have to make copper. And to process the power, you need inverter. So you need to make all those elements and transition, whatnot. And if you want to store energy, you need to make battery. By doing all this, you're already digging the earth. You're already putting chemicals. You're already putting energy. You're already emitting. And at the end of the life, you have to recycle it again, which means you have to again put chemicals and energy. What does it mean? It means that solar energy is definitely much, much better than coal electricity. But in absolute term, it is not having a zero impact. It will have a non-zero impact. So if you don't limit consumption of solar itself, we are going to cry once again 20 years down the line. That's a human characteristic. What we do? We solve one problem and create another one. That has been the characteristic of the modern human. And I keep saying, no, we used to do it in the past, solving one problem and creating another. Now we are the advanced human being. We solve one problem and create 4 more problems because we have got advanced, right? So as a professor and a solar person, what I say to people? The rule number 1 of using solar energy is do not use solar energy. That has to be the rule number 1. If you violate this rule, you're gone. I guarantee you are going to cry 20 years down the line.
You've already covered one of the questions I was going to ask you. What are the shortcomings of the technology that we have today?
Is this?
This is it.
This is it. So therefore, nobody talks about consumption. How fundamental mistakes we are making to live and do anything on this planet. How can you not, respect something like this, which Gandhi said that there is only enough in the world for everyone's need, not for anyone's greed. I keep asking everywhere in the country, why did he say this? Has he gone and had he gone crazy that time? दिमाग खराब हो गया था गांधी जी का 100 साल पहले. दुनिया में सबकी जरूरतें के लिए पर्याप्त लालच के लिए नहीं. कोई एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पाता. सबकी दीवालों पे लिखा है. There in every wall. Ask anybody, why did he say this? Nobody has the answer. Nobody has thought about it. Why did he say this? Only, like a puppet, We keep saying it again and again. Gandhi said this, Gandhi said this. But why? Has anybody followed? Is there any policy following it? Is there any politician saying about it? Is there any professional talking about it? Is there any press talking about it? No,
Is the
nobody.
private sector talking about it?
No. Even climate sector is not talking about it. So all this, and that is precisely the reason why we are not able to, stop climate change. Because 99.9% people have not understood the climate change and the solution of the climate change. 99.9, and I can bet and guarantee and argue with anybody in the world that they don't understand climate change.
So how can we bring this climate education or energy education into policymakers to bring it to them?
We shouldn't.
We shouldn't?
No. the game of climate change has gone far behind now.
Okay.
So policies are not going to be of any use. Technology is not going to be of any use, and economic growth is anyway not going to be of any use. These three tools that humans are using: policy making, technology development, economic growth, forget them.
You covered everything. What will work then?
Yes. So what will work then? This realization that, look, who is causing climate change? Let us start from. So the most common answer, and I keep, this is my favorite question I ask in every gathering: who is causing climate change?
We do.
All intelligent, smart, educated people, what they say? Humans are doing. I am not doing. Humans are doing. Then I say, hello, are you human? Then they say yes. Then I say, okay, tell me who is causing climate change. Then they will say, we are doing. Wrong. Not we. I am causing climate change. Why? Because I am using energy and I'm using material and I'm wearing shirt and I'm eating food and I'm using furniture. It is every individual who is causing climate change, and therefore every individual must be part of the solution. It does not require policy or technology for individual to take care of it. It needs understanding first. And to bring that understanding, you don't need rocket science, and you don't have to put it in a curriculum, and you don't have to enact laws. You have to just wake up and realize, hello, I am the problem and I should be the solution. As simple as this.
That is such a profound thought. You have given me a lot of food for thought. Um, how do you see global collaboration working out in this space? We've talked about India. Let's talk about a little bit of partnership.
Yeah, I mean, see, the whole problem is, of course, a global problem. But the solutions are not global. Solution has to be local.
Okay.
And therefore, you don't have to really worry much about partnerships. And anyway, they're not working. The Paris Agreement, 195 countries signed it. That by 2030, we are going to cut on carbon emission by 45%. The fact of the matter is that from 2015 onwards, after signing Paris Agreement, I was so happy in 2015 that 2016 carbon emission will go down, 17 it will go down further. And every year it is increasing almost 1%. What does it mean? It simple means only one thing. Every country is fooling each other. As simple as it. Everybody is trying to fool each other. Everybody says, I'm doing it. And they meet in COP meetings, 28 years they have been meeting and not able to, make a small dent in the solution. Rather, problem is increasing. So solution does not lie where everybody is searching for. Everybody is searching solution in technology, in policy, in partnership. No, nothing. You don't need. And last COP28 meeting, one of the hot topic was the climate finance. And I said, boss, hello, we don't need finance. You know why? Because the solution to climate change does not lie in doing something. It lies in not doing something. And what does it take to not do something? Nothing. It doesn't require technology. It doesn't require money. It doesn't require time. Not doing something is the solution. If I stopped ironing my clothes, I saved 200 grams of carbon emission. If millions of people does it, we already saved lakhs of kilograms. But what you have done? Nothing. That's what you have to learn, how not to do things. Because so far in the world, humans have been learning how to do things. Let us turn the table. Let us start learning. Let us start teaching how not to do things. That is the solution. For that, you don't need partnership. You do it on your own.
You're giving us such profound ideas. So, how can I, as an individual, be independent of energy or be energy Swaraj?
Well, I mean, one thing is very clear that ultimately we have to go to solar energy. Because when I say going away from wrong energy to the right energy in the right way at the right time, so ultimately there's no other choice. In Hindi, there is a phrase says that, जहाज का पंछी यदि रास्ता भटक जाए तो वापस जहाज पर ही जाना है. We all exist because of the sun. Our food grows because of the sun. The wind blows because of the sun. The water is there because of the sun. We breathe because of the sun. We all exist because of the sun. Most people have, when I ask this question, are you using solar energy? Most people say no. Because they think solar energy means solar panels only. We are so disconnected with the nature that we have no idea that the drinking water is actually use of solar energy. So I exist because of the sun. So we have to get back to the sun 100%, not 99%. 99 is not going to work because this carbon emission has a very long life, 300 years on an average. So even if you cut your carbon emission and bring it down to 1%, you're still going to suffer because over a period of 300 years, it will accumulate and become huge. And that's what, again, most policy don't address. Everybody talks about reducing. not making it zero right now. So we have to get back to the sun and we have to do it 100%. But there has to be an approach to that. And my approach, I call it is AMG approach. Avoid, minimize, generate. So A is avoid use of energy as much as possible, even if it is solar energy. Don't use solar energy. Rule number 1. Avoid. Why? Because even solar production itself has a side effect. And there are a lot of things that is avoidable. When I look around the country, around the office, everywhere, when I looked around my own house, I said, oh my God, fridge is avoidable. I learned only using fridge 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So last 7 years, there's no fridge in my home. Geyser is avoidable. I don't take bath with the hot water. AC is avoidable. There's no AC in my home. Ironing clothes is avoidable. I don't iron clothes. Buying new pair of clothes is avoidable. The clothes are long lasting. So many things that are avoidable. We don't need all this thing. And I believe 1/3 of energy it should be avoidable. If you cannot avoid, the next step is minimize. M. How do I minimize? Use energy efficiently. There are beautiful appliances available. Efficient LED is a great example. How it cuts down our electricity consumption by half and it saved carbon emission by half. There are fans, BLDC fan, 5-star rated appliances. A lot of things are very efficient. It can save up to 40 to 50% of your energy needs if you make everything efficient. So avoid 1/3 at least and minimize another 1/3. So what is then how much is remaining? Only 1/3. So generate only 1/3 locally wherever you are. And as much as possible, disconnect yourself from the grid. Independent. Follow this AMG. Avoid, minimize, generate. And if you're not going to follow AMG, I keep saying you will have to say OMG. Oh my God. Solar is expensive. Oh my God. Rooftop space is not there. Policy is not there. Everybody is crying for that. When you follow AMG, you don't need government, isn't it? Because your needs are 1/3 or maybe 50%. Government can only help you 20% subsidy, 30% subsidy. When you follow, you don't need government. You don't need electricity connection. You can be independent. That has to be the matter of pride, that because of my building, there is no carbon emission. Because of me, my carbon emission zero. So consuming less carbon or emitting less carbon has to be the fashion of the modern world. If you're not going to convert into a fashion statement, rules and regulation will not help. Economic decision will not help. You have to make it as a fashion. And as I said, at my home, there's no fridge, no geyser, no air conditioning. I stopped ironing my clothes. And to make it as a fashion, we have done one more thing. I have 2 daughters, and we decided that whenever my daughters are going to get married, in their marriage function, we are going to invite only those guests who come without ironing their clothes. If anybody comes with iron clothes, we'll say namaste, no kalana. So that is how we can bring change in a very, very fast time, because we don't have time. The problem of global warming is we are already neck deep and we don't have time to correct it. We don't have 500 years or 50 years to make policies. No, we have to do it right now. If it is not going to be now, it is going to be never. Let me quote one of the quote from the Barack Obama when he was a president. He said this. He said that this generation is the first generation to experience climate change, and it will be the last generation to do something about it. If it is not now, you are going to never solve this problem. Climate change is irreversible problem. It's Lakshman Rekha. Once you cross it, you cannot come back. Unfortunately, 99% people are sleeping, not realizing that we are in such a bad shape.
My last question to you is, what is your message to inspire more people to be energy conscious, and to young engineers maybe, or lawyers maybe, who don't think of climate as their first goal? How can what is your message to inspire them?
It's very simple that I keep saying all those people who are 50 or 60 years old, they are anyway not going to do something for climate change. They are going to die in another 20, 30 years. They will not be there on this planet. The one who is going to be on the planet is the young ones who are right now in schools and colleges. They are the one who are going to live longer. They are the one who are going to suffer more. So if you don't want to suffer, take action right now. Of course, it is not you're not created it, but unfortunately, your older people are not going to do much except discussion. So take action right now, and the action lies in not doing something. reduce your energy consumption, material consumption, because ultimately the whole purpose of this economic growth is not accumulating more. The purpose is to be more happy, more healthy, more smiling. And I keep asking, why should we increase GDP at all? Because what GDP is doing, it is increasing depression, stress, violence, water pollution, air pollution, global warming, climate change. Is that what we want to increase our GDP for? No, it is not. So the young generation should know the end game of their life, what they want to achieve before they die. And I think the moment you pose this question, they will understand. What they want to achieve is not more accumulation of material and wealth. What they want to achieve is a very healthy, happy, purposeful, joyful life. For that, don't need all this drama and all this, material thing. So looking the life from a bigger perspective itself is going to answer that we don't need all this thing. And by doing all this thing, we are going to create problem. And this problem, you are going to pay for it. Nature is not going to kill you so easily. I keep saying नेचर इतने आसानी से नहीं मारे कि मूवी में जो खतरनाक विलेन होता है ना, हीरो को कैसे मारता है, तड़पा तड़पा के. There is going to be more floods, more droughts, more heat waves, more forest fire, more ice melting, more sea level rise. Nature is going to kill us bit by bit. So it is we who has created a problem and we are going to suffer. So the wisdom lies in not creating the problem and behave yourself. The whole purpose of life is to be happy and joyful, not to collect more and spend more.
So where can we read more about your work? Where can we learn more about your work, your socials?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm writing a book, by the way, last 1.5 years. It's almost complete now on climate change and what people should do. I think people should look forward for that book. By the time people can do energy literacy training. It's all free, available online. People can just search energy literacy training or Energy Swaraj portal, and they will find it's just 3 hours course, and it's a game changing, life changing. I guarantee that if anybody does energy literacy, he or she will be a different person after that.
On that note, thank you so much, Professor Solanki, for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.